All right, welcome back. I want to talk for a minute about reasons why you have failed to make changes. Because if you've tried to modify or change your behavior, and most people I talk to have, but if you've tried to change and you failed, it's probably no mystery why. Because it's usually the same reasons, and I found that over and over again, the same things come up. So let me share with you what I've learned, and all of these things applied to me years ago, before my recovery started. All of these things would have applied to me 100%. So the first reason that you have failed to change is that you have not admitted to yourself the true nature of your problem. And that's because you don't see clearly the nature of the problem. And that's inherent in the nature of addiction. And sometimes it just takes the form of straight out denial, where someone clearly has an issue, whether it's with pornography or drinking or gambling, and it's actually apparent to everybody around them. But when you talk to them, they honestly believe everything is okay. And most of us have probably run into a person like this at some point in their life. But there's more to it than that. And part of the reason that you failed to change is that you have never actually diagnosed properly what the problem is. And it's sort of like the cars that we drive today. If you drive a newer vehicle made in the last few years, everything has become everything is run by computers pretty well on cars now. And so if you hear a noise or a bump or the light comes on, if I'm driving and I see an engine light come on, I'm dimly aware that there's something probably not right, but I lack the tools and the insight and the ability to get a clear picture of what that is. So what I need to do is go to somebody that has the resources to help me, which would be my local mechanic. So when I go down to my local mechanic, he typically would, in some cases, hook up a diagnostic computer to my car's computer, and they sort of talk to each other, and the diagnostic computer will specify exactly what it is that needs fixing. This is not something I can do on my own. I do not have the ability to diagnose for myself what the problem is. And there's millions of people walking around out there just like this right now. They either are in complete denial that there's any issue whatsoever, or they are very aware that they're not happy with the fact that they can't stop going on dating sites or masturbating to pornography or hooking up with strangers. But they don't really know how to conceptualize the problem and what that is. And that's something that I will help you do. So by the time that you've walked through this program with me, you will be able to explain to yourself or another person very clearly exactly what was going on and why. So I will give you what the mechanic in my story has, knowledge and tools. The mechanic, I bring my car to a mechanic because he has basically two things that I don't possess. He possesses the tools to diagnose and fix the problem, and he possesses the knowledge to understand and explain it to me. And that's exactly what I'll do for you as well. The second reason that you fail to change is that you have no structure or system in place to follow. And addicts typically don't like being told what to do. And in fact, one of the hallmarks of an addictive behavior is you do what you want, when you want, and you don't answer to anybody for it. And often, for a long period of time, you don't even experience any real consequences to what you're doing. So early on in recovery, it's very important to have structure placed upon you and a guideline to follow. So I used to work in construction years ago, and I've helped build houses from scratch, from literally a hole in the ground all the way up to a completely finished home that they move into. And every single time that we've built a house, we had a blueprint. No customer ever came to us and said, hey, would you just throw something together over there for me? It could be 2 stories or 3 stories, it doesn't really matter. It might have a basement, I don't really care. You could have 5 bedrooms or no bedrooms, I'm good with it. No, that would be ridiculous. And so every single time that we've completed a beautiful house, we got there by following a specific set of instructions that detailed out step by step how to go from a hole in the ground to a beautiful finished home. And that's what my program will provide for you, is walking you through step by step that process of getting from here over to here. So if you feel like maybe your life literally feels like it's in a shambles right now and you need to rebuild from scratch, you can do it. It's possible. You just need a blueprint. The third reason that you fail to change is that whether you realize it or not, you are practicing distorted thinking patterns on a regular basis. So all the people I talk to and anyone that deals with any kind of addiction has 4 main thought distortions that almost run through their mind automatically on a loop. The 4 things that they do is they minimize, rationalize, justify, and make excuses for your behavior. So minimizing basically means that you downplay the behavior so that it appears either to yourself or another person that it's really not that serious. And rationalizing means that you come up with a reason in your mind to make your choice seem better than what it really is. So an excuse of minimizing would be, yeah, I watch porn, but it's no big deal because it's not real women. So I'm not actually meeting any real women. And technically it's true, so it sounds good, but you're almost disregarding the fact that you are doing this and lying about it, possibly. An example of rationalizing it would be, you know, it's better than, you know, me watching porn is better than me actually going out and having sex with real women. And I've had guys tell me this, like in their mind, it's okay to do this because it's not as bad as that. A third thought distortion is justifying your behavior. So it's justifying something as a way of making it seem good almost. So a very common one is, you know, my wife would be upset about the affairs, but if I told her, it would only make her more angry, and I don't want to upset her, so I'm just going to keep it a secret. So you've justified your behavior and even made you look like the good guy in the process for not upsetting your wife by telling her the truth. So you've justified your own lies, secrets, and dishonesty. And then there's excuses. And excuses, you know, we all make them. And basically, it's something we just throw out there to, I think, make ourselves feel a little better in the moment. So an excuse could be, yeah, I know I slipped up, but I was tired. And it's just an excuse. An excuse is basically a sign that you're not taking personal responsibility for your behavior. And I hear them all the time, and when I hear an excuse, what I'm hearing is a person who's not ready or willing to take personal responsibility for his behavior. So let's walk through a scenario here. So you're sitting at home, and you're alone, and suddenly the thought comes into your head, you know, hey, why don't I just go over and look at some porn, and maybe we'll go on a website and see if there's some escorts there. And but it's just, you know, it'll just be 5 minutes. So there's your minimization. It'll just be 5 minutes, right? And then you say, well, you know, if my wife was giving me more sex, I wouldn't have to look at porn. So, you know, it's kind of her fault in a way. So you've rationalized it. You just made a rationalization for your choice. Then you go on the website with the escorts, but you don't actually contact them. So you're thinking, well, you know, at least I'm not, you know, actually planning to meet with them. I'm just going to think about it and basically cheat on my wife in my imagination, but I'm not going to actually contact them. So you've justified your behavior. And after an hour of doing that, was only going to be 5 minutes. But after an hour of doing that, you turn off the computer and you just say, oh, well, it's no big deal. It's just a guy thing anyway. So you've made an excuse. But these things come just like this. And no one goes, oh, how can I minimize and justify my behavior right now so I feel less guilty about it? It doesn't happen that way. These thought distortions have crept in over time until you've accepted them and allowed them to repeat themselves so that they have basically become your default mode of thinking. And all addicts have many thought distortions, and there's often 3 or 4 that are very dominant that will replay over and over, and they serve to keep you locked into the same pattern of behavior. The 4th reason that you have failed to change is because of secrecy. I cannot stress enough that secrecy is the gasoline in the tank that fuels the engine of addiction. So, there's a saying in AA, you are as sick as your secrets. So, the dynamic of secrecy, for some reason, perpetuates you repeating unwanted behaviors down the road. And secrecy becomes a pattern and actually a habit. So over time, secrecy will become habitual. And you may be generally an honest person in these other areas of your life, but in this one area, you're very, very secretive. And so part of recovery, and I'm warning you now, if you really want to deal with this, is that you're going to have to get all of the lies and secrets out and tell at least one other human being. So for many, many of my clients that come and see me, I'm literally the first person on earth that they tell everything to. And because of the shame that goes with secrecy, it keeps that shame as sort of the cap on the bottle that keeps the secrets locked up tight. And one of the first things that I encourage people to do is tell at least myself or one other person who they can trust everything that they've done. And when I'm working with couples, a lot of times it is necessary eventually, maybe not right away, but it is necessary to eventually do a full disclosure of all your behaviors so that you have no lies and secrets. And all of my clients have as a bottom line behavior. A bottom line behavior is a baseline behavior that we set for behaviors that they will stop, and no lies or secrets is always. I usually let my clients set their bottom line behaviors with some guidance, but that one's non-negotiable, because you can't be successful in recovery and you can't experience peace of mind until you have gotten rid of all your lies and secrets. The 5th reason that you have failed to change is what I call pseudo accountability. So I talk to a lot of people, and especially in sort of faith circle, Christian circles, where it's sometimes these issues are discussed a little bit more. A person will tell me, well, I have a friend that I told about my issue, and I'm accountable to him, or he's my accountability partner. And I always find that interesting, so I probe a little bit more, and I say, tell me about this accountability partner of yours. So, maybe I'll call him up every week or 2, and I'll just say, hey, Joe, how's it going? Hey, Fred, I'm good, how are you? Yeah, things are good. Yeah, I'm doing good. And that's accountability. But they think that's accountability. It's not true accountability. So true accountability is a process you go through, and there'll be a link here that you can click for a free accountability package that I put together to help you find and set up a relationship with someone that you can have accountability with, and it'll tell you how to pick a person and to define the parameters of the accountability relationship, and what sort of questions that you can ask them and what sort of questions they can ask you. This is critical in recovery. But basically, true accountability means that you go to a person, and the criteria is that they are somewhat mature, that they can absolutely keep confidentiality, and that they can be trusted and they don't struggle with the same type of behavior as you. Because if someone's masturbating to porn every other day and you're trying to be accountable to them for your recovery, they're not going to be a good partner for you. So you find a person and you go to them and say, look, I need to be accountable to you because I'm in recovery for sex addiction or porn addiction. And you tell them your bottom lines. So I want you to know my bottom lines are no masturbation, no pornography, no webcamming, no lies and secrets, no strip clubs. I'm going to check in with you every day for the next 90 days by text, email, or phone call, and I'm going to inform you if I have kept my bottom lines or not. Your accountability partner's job is to say, thank you for checking in. That's it. They're not there to give you advice. They're not your counselor. They're not there to fix things for you. They're not there to rescue you. If longer conversations come out of that, as sometimes they will, that's great. But it's important for them to know their main job is to just be there for you. The initiative is always going to be on you 100% to check in with them. Never is the initiative on them to check in with you, because they can't be working harder on your recovery than you are. You have to be the one that wants this and work harder than they will. So that's basically how you get it going. And then you check in every day for 90 days minimum. And after that, you will continue to check in on usually a less frequent basis as needed, but you can still do it every day if you want. I have many clients that checked in every day with me for months and months and months, because I do run into a lot of men who really literally have no friends, no good friends, or anyone that they can trust. And for obvious reasons, sometimes they're afraid to talk to someone in their family about it. So they use me. And I'm happy to do that. And as part of the course, if you choose to enroll in Cracking the Code of Compulsive Sexual Behaviors, you will have access to a private membership site on Facebook. And if you don't know anybody in your life, this is a place that you can be using to check in with myself and the other members of the group. It will be a closed group and a secret group, so no one can see it. And this will be a place for you to go, and you can start that checking in process and break the cycle of lies and secrets.